Hello everyone and welcome back to Maths and Physics from the assignments. Today is grade 12 analytical geometry. We will be determining the equation of a circle when it has its center at any given point. Right, so the equation of a circle with any center. The equation of a circle with center AB. So there's A and B at any point. And a radius of R will be found by x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equal r squared. So take note, if it's positive a there, it becomes negative a there. To positive b, it becomes negative b when I substitute back in the brackets. So, determine the coordinates of the center and the radius of the circle. So if I give you an equation that says x minus 1 squared plus y plus 6 squared equal 12. From this equation, I need to understand the center. Minus 1 becomes positive 1. Positive 6 becomes negative 6. And my radius will always be square root of r squared. No? So radius equals square root of b. X plus 7 squared plus y minus 5 squared equal 15. My center equals negative 7. Right? And positive 5. So plus 7 becomes negative 7, minus 5 becomes 5, and the radius will be square root of 50, so r equals square root 50. We look at the next problem. Determine the equation of the circle if it has center 1 and 1 and radius 5 units. Right, so because it's not 0 and 0, we're going to use x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equal r squared. Positive 1 becomes negative 1. Positive 1 there becomes negative 1. R squared becomes 5 squared. So x minus 1 squared plus y minus 1 squared. 5 times 5 gives me 25. So my equation is x minus 1 squared plus y minus 1 squared equal 25. B, if it has a center 1 and negative 2 and a radius of 3 units, becomes x minus 1 squared y plus 2 squared, and r there becomes 3 squared. 3 times 3 gives me 9, so my equation then reads x minus 1 squared plus y plus 2 squared equal 9. So very important, I change the signs when I put it into the brackets, and their radius must be squared. Don't go write 3 and forget that it must become 3 squared. So look at the next problem. Determine equation of the circle given center coordinates and a radius. So centers 1 and minus 2, but now instead of giving you the radius, we say passing through minus 1 and 1. So there again, x minus 1 plus y plus 2 squared. And there to get r squared, we're going to use x squared plus y squared. So that equals minus 1 squared plus 1 squared. Negative 1 squared gives me 1, 1 squared gives me 1, and 1 plus 1 then gives me 2. So that equation becomes x minus 1 squared plus y plus 2 squared equal 2. Right? Now, determine the equation given a diameter. So assume you remember diameter is 2 times the length of the radius. And finding the midpoint, right? So in the middle of the diameter, we normally have the center of the circle. Right? So determine the equation of a circle that has BC as a diameter, if B and C are the points, minus 3 and 2 and 1 and 6 respectively. So from the diameter, I need the midpoint, but I also need the length of the diameter, because half the length of the diameter is my radius. So once I have the center and the radius, I can then find the equation of the circle. So midpoint BC, x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. So from there, minus 3 plus 1 divided by 2, 2 plus 6 divided by 2. Minus 3 plus 1 gives me negative 2 divided by 2 gives me negative 1. 2 plus 6 gives me 8. 8 divided by 2 would give me 4. So I have the center for the equation of the circle, but I also need the length of the radius, which is half diameter. So BC equal square root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So from there, 1 minus 3, all squared, 6 minus 2, 1, plus 3 gives me 4 squared, 6 minus 2 gives me also 4 squared. 16 plus 16 would give me square root 32, or 4 square root 2 units. Therefore, my radius equals BC divided by 2. Remember, radius is half diameter. So 4 square root 2 divided by 2 becomes 2 square root 2. So my equation becomes x plus 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared equal 2 times square root 2 all squared, which then gives me 2 times 2 is 4. Square root 2 times square root 2 is 2. So 4 times that 2 then gives me 8. And there we found the equation of my circle. Hope you follow. God bless. I wish you nothing but the best. Bye.